Well, hello. Good morning. What's new? Welcome to 2021. Now I know what you're thinking. 2020 was a shit show, and we needed motivation. Lacey, where the F were you? We needed Motivational Mondays. Everything was on fire. The world was on fire. And you weren't there. And I have to tell you, I couldn't. So why was I gone in 2020? There were a couple of reasons. When I decided to start doing these Motivational Mondays, mid-2019, I did it as something to do, but also something to work on. I wanted a reason to have to get into drag and to edit videos and post and help motivate people to get to the place that I want to be. And I thought, because I had a really good following on Instagram, that it would be easy to take that following and bring them over to YouTube, and I would be able to get a lot of followers, get a lot of views, both on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and it would help to jumpstart my career. And the selfish person in me was disappointed when I didn't get the thousands of views that I thought I was going to get. I was hoping for just 1% of my following to view the content, which at that time would have been about 1,500 people. And instead, I was getting less than 0.1%. And it bothered me. I decided that I would take January and February off to reevaluate why I was doing these and see if I wanted to bring them back. When March came around and coronavirus started to spread, I just sort of went into fight or flight mode and just froze. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to record. I didn't want to get in drag. I lost my job. I was afraid to perform at any of the bars that were still open. Then the bars shut down. Then I started doing a few online shows. I did a couple of fundraisers and was able to successfully raise some money for some charities that were important to me. And it just got to be a lot. I was doing 3 or 4 digital shows a week just to get money to pay my bills. And Motivational Mondays were in the back of my mind, but I didn't have the motivation to do them and didn't feel like I was in a place to talk to people about how I was feeling. I was afraid to be vulnerable and tell you how I was feeling. For a lot of us, 2020 was a rough time. It was traumatic. This is not something that we ever thought that we were going to experience. And under the right leadership, this would have been a lot different. But we are where we are. We have to deal with the cards that were dealt. So when 2 months became 4 months, became 9 months, became 10 months, and different waves are happening of the coronavirus all around the world, and we start to see people going back to work and going back to school and going back to concerts and going back to bars and having fun, and then people are still getting sick and dying. It was just too much. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to be motivating when I didn't know how to motivate myself. I didn't know how to be vulnerable when I felt like I was an open wound. Let me know if you felt that way too. If you were an open wound in 2020. I did lose some people. I had other friends that tested positive. I was tested and tested negative. As they say, be positive, pray for negative. Coronavirus, COVID-19 was traumatic. And we need to process it as a trauma. This was something that we've never been through before. This was the first time for, almost all of us to experience something like this. To have our whole world just flipped upside down, what felt like overnight. And processing trauma can be hard. So, this year, with my Motivational Mondays, it's going to be me processing my trauma. I'm going to be a lot more vulnerable with you. I'm going to share a lot of things about my life, about my past, about how I'm feeling. I am working with new spiritual leaders. They may not know it, but I am, listening to new podcasts, reading new books, engaging with new people that can teach me new things. Some of these are Iyanla Van Zant, of course. We know that I love her. She's taught me a lot. We are working with Brene Brown, Glennon Doyle, a lot of different people that are helping us become better people. So you're going to hear a lot about a lot of different people. I've been very open about my mental health struggles. I have been very open about some of the things that I've been through in the past. And I am tired of feeling like I'm alone in these things. And I know that a lot of people have been through the same or similar situations. I know people are dealing and living with the same or similar mental health struggles. And 2020 revealed who I can talk to about these things. And one of the scariest parts about being vulnerable is that it means that I am opening up a different side of me on social media. On social media, I get to be very careful about what I portray. I get to decide when I'm going to show the happy, smiling, carefree, gorgeous-looking me, or the gothy, scary, covered in blood me. And I get to decide when you get to see that. I get to decide how you get to see it. I get to decide what filters are being used, what sort of captions that I'm putting in. I get to strategically create a relationship with you where I decide when you get to get a piece of me. And sometimes those pieces were thought out many months ahead. Sometimes they were not. Sometimes I have saved posts. I have archived them and brought them back later. I have scheduled posts months out. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to strategize my social media platforms anymore. I am choosing to be vulnerable with you. And if you would like to come along on that journey, please stay. I would love to have you. And if you don't, that's okay too. You don't have to. So I want to start with a few things that I did in 2020. Some of the scariest things that happened to me this year. Some of the silliest things that happened this year. And some of the best things that happened. So in 2020, one of the scariest things was my cat Huey ran away. If you don't know, my cat Huey is on the autism spectrum. I didn't know that was a thing either. And one of the exercises that the occupational vet had suggested is to expose him to new senses. So Huey's an indoor cat. He only stays inside. And we decided that one of the new ways that we could expose him to some new sensory things was for me to take him outside for just a few seconds every few days and let him feel the breeze on his fur, to hear the sounds of cars that are going by, to smell the air. And we were doing this for a while, and we had done it for a few months. And one day I was outside, I was holding him, and he always had a tell when he was at a sensory overload, when he was ready to go inside. He would stay always close in my arms. He would stay right here, with his face right here, but when he was done, he would rub his whiskers on my face or on my glasses. So when that happened, it was time to go inside. So we were outside for just a second. No sensory overload. He was not rubbing his face on me. And the garbage truck came by right in front of the house. That is a very loud sound, and it scared him. And I tried to hold on to him and open the door, and I couldn't do both. He jumped out of my hands, ran. I chased him. He went around a couple of houses. I went around a couple of houses, and he disappeared. And he was gone for 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. He came back on the third night. I basically walked the entire community that I live over and over and over again, calling his name at all hours of the day, all hours of the night. Would try and look under people's houses. I would look up in trees. I would look on people's roofs. Just anywhere. No sign, no response, nothing. I couldn't find him. On the last night, I was outside crying and chain smoking. And I just called him, and he meowed, and started walking towards me, and I got excited, walked cheekily to him. He ran under our shed. I banged on the window to have my parents come outside, and we cornered him underneath the shed, and I was able to get him back inside. Went to the vet. He was cleared and checked and got all of his shots, and we were good to go. That was one of the scariest things. As you may know, I suffer with suicidal ideation, and a lot of times the one thing that keeps me going is my cats. I live for my cats. On the flip side of things, my cat Davy was diagnosed with feline diabetes, and I had to learn how to administer insulin shots to him. And that was very stressful, very difficult to do. I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want to completely uproot their entire lives. I had to change their treats, their food, their feeding schedule. I had to change their litter. so that Davy could be safe. And I had to learn how to administer insulin shots. And the entire first day of trying to learn, I couldn't do it. I cried. I was like holding him crying. And then I finally did it. And now it's a breeze. He doesn't feel anything. He lets me know when it's time for his shot. So he comes over and he's like, "Hey, let's do this. I want my raw fish, please." So he comes over and he tells me. So that was something I had to learn about myself. Was that I could do these things. I was stronger than I knew. Stronger than I even thought I was capable of. One of the best things is that I have finally found a label to unlabel myself. I thought there was only cis and trans, and I did not realize that trans was an umbrella that I fell under. I was able to finally learn what my gender identity is, and by giving myself a label, it freed me from the box. I now identify as gender fluid, or gender queer, or non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, though I am ambivalent to he, him, or she, her. If you use them, most of the time I will not correct you. Depending on how I'm presenting, I know I may present more masculine culturally or feminine culturally, and if you use the pronouns that reflect your cultural upbringing of that, I'm okay with that. So those are some of the best and the worst things that happened to me. Some minor things, I joined TikTok. I am thoroughly enjoying TikTok. As you may have known, I had TikTok and deleted it because I did not enjoy it, but I'm back and I love it now, so you can follow me. I did put together 3 awesome fundraisers this year and was able to raise $200 for each of those charities, so thank you so much if you've donated. And I start a new job today. I'm nervous because it's a new first time. I've been in this industry for a long time. I know how to do it, but I don't know how to do it during a pandemic. So this is going to be another first time that I'm going to learn. So I want to thank you for your patience, for me not posting as often, for not doing any Motivational Mondays, for allowing me to take the time for me to grow, me to understand how important vulnerability is. Don't get me wrong, I'm scared to be vulnerable on the internet. I'm terrified to be vulnerable with you. But I think we're going to have fun. So thank you very much. I'll see you later.